Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel where today, Hot Hatch fans, be very excited, we're going to be checking out the brand new Mini John Cooper Works GP. The wraps are finally off the new GP3, the fastest mini model ever, and a car that has been long awaited since the concept was first ever shown. We're going to be checking out all of the details in the studio, we'll also be able to hear how the new car sounds, and even jump on board for a passenger experience out on the racetrack. Now, I've not been able to see the new car with my own eyes, but in my absence while I was over in the USA, Schmark150, the business manager for Shmi150 and a Mini GP2 owner himself, headed to the studio in Europe to take a look in person. Now, ironically, I'm back in the UK before heading over to the Middle East, and he's out in the US at Thermal Club in California to have a ride in the passenger seat to experience what it's like shotgun. But let's check out then and run through all of the details of this car we've been waiting for, the new Mini GP3. Let's take a look then at the GP3. We will hear it in just a moment, but to start off with a walk around to go through all of the details of the fastest Mini ever. Thanks to having 306 horsepower, we will check out the engine in a moment, but just look at the visual design of the exterior, so true to that original concept with those flared out arches that we weren't quite sure how they would transition into the production car. At the back you've got things like the twin exit exhaust tailpipe, you've got that gigantic spoiler sitting up at the top with the GP logos at the side, you've got new lightweight 18-inch wheels, a new sport braking system, and those flared fenders made from CFRP, originally introduced by the BMW group in the i3 and the i8. As we come back towards the front, more openings for cooling, more aerodynamic work in terms of keeping and reducing the lift to make it possible for the car to achieve some of its performance figures. We're talking 0 to 62 miles an hour in just over 5 seconds and onto a top speed of 164. Up front, you've got a 2-litre TwinPower Turbo 4-cylinder engine boosted from the John Cooper Works by about 70 or so horsepower up to 306, but also different visual cues, the different colour schemes you can see, a closer look at those wheels as well and the big brake discs behind. You might just spot the 2020 logo. Each of the 3,000 cars that are going to be produced will have their model number or their unique number on the exterior of the car as well, but the colours with the greys, the red, the exposed CFRP, the different colour of the roof, all giving it this incredibly sporty presence. And that wing, the aerodynamic work of that almost double style wing is a very special thing with the bright red paintwork inside. You've got the Union Jack style tail lights and you can see more of those flared fenders as well. This is one very sporty and aggressive looking hatchback, following of course from the GP1 and the GP2, although always named the John Cooper Works GP, but this is a very exciting car that, well, there's quite a lot more to tell you about. We will be taking a look inside the engine bay to check out the power plant. I also want to show you what's going on in the rear of the car. It has a rear seat delete with a new support beam that's installed instead, and we'll also check out the front seats to go through some of the infotainment. But first, let's take a listen to the exhaust sound of the new Mini GP. That raspy sound still manages to carry through even though the car meets the latest regulations, which means despite having a new exhaust system made just for the GP, has to have the OPF, the particulate filter, which basically to you and I does a pretty hefty job of reducing the amount of sound that you hear. But nonetheless, let's go check out the engine bay, take a look at the power plant, so we'll get a quick glimpse at the interior of the car. We will come back to this in more detail, but a double pull of the lever down in the footwell will release the bonnet and we can go around and take a look. Now the engine is a development of that found in the JCW, so it's based on the 2-litre TwinPower Turbo 4-cylinder engine. You will see that it is mounted transversely and mated to an 8-speed Steptronic automatic gearbox, but this produces now 306 horsepower, 450 newton meters of torque. That means 0 to 62 miles per hour is just 5.2 seconds and onto a top speed of 164. That's not an electronic limiter, that's the actual top speed of the car. Of course, a car that is designed heavily based on aerodynamics and being at home out on the track, as we're going to be experiencing later on, but a very compact engine. The new GP logo also seen on the cover plate right up at the top. But let's shut that down to go and have a quick look in the back of the car before we head round and out to the track. The aero work at the back of this car is crazy, but let's get the tailgate opened up so you can take a look inside here. Now the rear seat delete, you immediately notice much more space going on back there, as well as that bright red support beam running all the way across the back for additional stability and support. You have the GP logos on either side, but a good view of the rear seats, and I suppose technically you've got a lot more luggage space going on at the back by not having the seats, as well as saving some weight too. I think it's pretty clear the intention of this car and what exactly it's built for and its purpose. But let's close that back on down then, and it will be time to head straight out to go and experience it on the track. As we go out for a blast then, the car has a new GP mode. Now GP mode controls the DSC, the dynamic stability control. Effectively, one stop before turning everything off, it will allow a touch more slip while still keeping everything in check, but ultimately to maximise performance, optimise lap times, and make it go as quick as possible around the racetrack. It has a reworked suspension system as opposed to the JCW, so it sits 10mm lower, a completely new setup, but also it's a wider track, and you can see that from the wider bodywork that of course the wheels are sitting within. Very lightweight wheels, just 9 kilos for the 18-inch wheels, but while we're out on track, let's take a bit more of a listen to what it sounds like on board. Fair to say, for such a small car, it sure does get a move on, an incredibly nippy thing out on the circuit. But let's head back in then to take a proper look around the interior. Heading back then to the interior, let's go through this in more detail. Now of course based on the latest generation of the Mini, but with some features that are specific and unique to the GP. You might have noticed some of those red touches already, but we've got some very supportive seats in terms of their side bolstering. Also those red seat belts standing out very bright. I'm always a big fan of coloured seat belts. I think they fit the sporty character of the car. Inside as well, some more touches around the steering wheel, the GP badges down on the carpets. You've got that digital display that you can see behind the steering wheel, a 12 o'clock stripe up at the top as well, which is a nice touch. Then that Mini style in the centre, and also the badging GP with the car number on the passenger side of the dashboard. That's, in this case, 2020, the model year of the car. You can see the gear lever here for the 8-speed auto. You've got your climate control buttons and other settings and modes and switches, and there's a digital display inside the centre, also of the main infotainment screen. Closing the door then, let's take a look at this in more detail. We will get the car started up. You've got that red flick switch in the very centre. Holding it down brings the car straight into life, where all of the dashboard displays will all illuminate up. We've got the navigation. You've also got that circular illumination all the way around, which of course acts in a way as your kind of rev counter. It will flash away at you and do all sorts of different things. We've got lots of controls we can quickly run through here. Of course, as you would expect, it's got the map, but also now with the touchscreen interface. And I've not personally taken a look at the latest generation inside the new Mini at all. So this has, of course, been integrated in from various different BMW models. You've got that cylindrical view. You can go into My Mini, where you have driver profiles. You have a bunch of different displays and settings and screens and things that you can see, as well as all of your controls and pretty much everything that you would expect to be able to find in such a car. Now the Mini GP, the latest generation, does start at about £33,000–34,000, so it is quite a hefty price tag, but as such you do get a very high level of technology and equipment involved as standard. For example, the tyre pressure monitoring that starts as soon as you actually drive. Not that we can do that with this car tucked away inside the studio. You've got the minimalism mode ready for when driving, showing us a little visual display there, technology in action, but lots and lots of different information, lots of screens, your onboard computer, your trip computer, and more or less everything, I guess, that you could want to see out of a car like this, even the handbook, if you want to go into that. Continuing on, we've got Mini Connected, the various different Mini assistance systems. All Minis come with a SIM card, they're all connected, so in case of an emergency there is always access, always in fact the car immediately calling you if it detects, for example, an airbag that's gone off. Over to the other side you've got communication, media, radio, digital radio, Bluetooth audio, and all the, I guess, technology that you want to ever have on that front. Now here on the traction control button, we can do a quick demo of the GP mode. So this is where when you press it down, you get GP mode activated. You can see the traction light is turned on, but you've got that digital display as well. Rev counter over to the left, you've got your fuel gauge over towards the right, your speedometer in the center, and a press and hold of the button, of course, turns DSC completely off. depending how you want to drive it. You've got that GP logo fitted right up at the very top, but just above where you have those controls and the gear shift here, you can put it into manual just to show you some of the controls and different things that you've got around. And also have a quick look as well at the seats and towards the rear, where you can see the different materials that are used, all exclusive and specific to this car, to the new GP. But there we more or less have it then, a last look around the exterior. This car, the launch specification, is painted in racing grey. You'll notice the roof and the door mirror caps in the contrasting silver, and then you've got the chili red for all of the accents, for example, the painting inside of the rear wing, the logos and the various aspects you can see around. That CFRP though, for those side fenders, is something unique and I think distinct about the GP3. You will instantly know that this is what you're looking at. The wheel design is also exclusive for the car, and around the front you can see much more of those chili red accents that you have through the radiator, the GP logo, and all down at the bottom on the front apron as well. But the GP3 looks and sounds like a very impressive package, a car that is no doubt going to get a lot of attention, 3,000 units in total, a high starting price admittedly for a Mini, but no doubt they will be snapped up very quickly, particularly I expect the 575 that are going to be on sale for the UK market. We can just have a look at some more of the details though while we're still heading around. For example, seeing that 2020 logo that you have on the side using a specific paint process. I actually think it's quite a fun idea to have the car number there on the exterior. They will of course go from 0001 all the way through to 3000 depending on the individual number, but that is one very, very aggressive spoiler with different elements you can see in detail as well, that little flap on the top of it, but also just the sheer scale and just looking at the details and how those fenders stick out towards the side. I've always been a big fan of the Union Jack style tail lights. I think that's a very nice touch. Then down at the very back, those two central tailpipes, 90mm each in diameter. Otherwise, very traditional, I suppose, Mini, based on the regular model. Some details like the black highlights and touches for the fuel filler cap around the tail lights, and other small things that you can see all around as well, just to have a better look at that, and how the side fender allows space for it as well, and new center caps, just while I'm thinking about it, also down on the wheels. But basically, there we have it, the new Mini John Cooper Works GP, the GP3, and I can tell you, Schmark, who went to see it, is a big fan of that car, no doubt following on as well from the success of the GP1 and the GP2. The GP3 is here, so do let me know in the comments down below what you think of the new car. But for today, that is all. Thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, I appreciate your support, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!